Hello guys, welcome back to our Fanfic Hub channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the supreme demon son of the Deity and King? Huge shout out to R0tatsid for this story. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. A young man in a temple covered in moss and roots within the forest of white dreams. He had blonde hair as bright as the sun, 3 whiskers on each side of his cheek, and blue cerulean eyes as reflective as the ocean. Within the temple, he sat down at his desk writing in his journal, reflecting on his past spanning less than 2 millennia. They say those who win the war write history. Though, the day I leave everything behind, who is to say someone won't find this and publish it as a book? Who's to say they won't modify it to entertain others? Who is to say they won't destroy this or abandon it, leaving it to decay until it turns to dust? He asked himself, reviewing everything that has happened. The young man smirked as he only cared for the beginning, his new beginning. The time everything changed and he was given a second chance. When the women claiming to be Kami, or the god of creation, had brought him along with a giant beast in the shape of a fox with 9 large tails. The woman he thought was Kami claimed to be a goddess under the name of the supreme deity. After a tantalizing offer, he accepted and thus was reborn into Britannia. He sighed as he had no memory of his past life before being summoned by his mother. To be reborn, one must give birth, and unbeknownst to them the supreme deity found her temporary mate before giving birth. The young man bared no family name and did not care as he spent many years in isolation in the forest of white dreams, where he found this temple before it started falling apart. He smiled as he remembered the many events that were unfolded many years after his birth when he met his father and found himself living and training in purgatory for many years. His reminiscing was cut short as he felt someone's presence not too far from his room in the temple. Naruto smiled as he could recognize the signature of his visitor. He stepped out and saw in the distance a beautiful, pale-skinned young woman with her magenta hair and a high ponytail with 2 bangs framing her delicate face. Silver half-rimmed glasses adorned her face, highlighting her amber eyes and allowing her to see. She herself was a petite girl wearing a white shirt with grey long sleeves over a black crop tank top, revealing a cup bosom, as well as a pair of dark pants and short grey boots. As she came close, the two smiled at each other before the young man jumped down to greet her with a hand kiss. "Oh, for my love, it has been many years. What brings you here?" he asked with a bright smile. The woman, now identified as Gowther, merely stared at him before firing beam of magic at him of transferring her memories into his mind. "So you found him after all this time? And you followed him around for his strange journey?" She nodded. "Don't worry, I'm not angry. You had to find your own way to entertain yourself, other than hanging around a hermit and his dirty home." He chuckled, receiving no response. "Regardless, it's time for me to make an appearance. Take me to him." Gowther suddenly smiled, revealing her emotions for the first time before taking a firm grasp. "Very well, my dear husband Naruto," she said as both were encircled by a bright light. Kingdom of Lions, battlefield. On the edge of the kingdom, where the magical research facility once stood, there was now a giant crater. Spread throughout that crater lay the beaten and broken forms of several holy knights and even the revered 7 deadly sins themselves, who all stood no chance against a demon that had done this in the first place. Newborn demon, former Holy Knight Grandmaster Hendrickson, watched as the once thought unbeatable Sir Meliodas, dragon sin of wrath, crawled weakly towards a frightened Princess Elizabeth, begging her to run and save herself, while the foolish girl refused. He decided to humor them for just a moment before raising his right hand to begin his final attack that would end them forever. Every conscious knight watched in agony as small orbs of darkness, now known to be fatal, appeared around Hendrickson before they started to form into one giant ball of death that Hendrickson appropriately named Dead End as he launched the death orb right at the weakened Meliodas and Elizabeth. But suddenly Hawk got in the way, hoping to use himself as a meat shield to protect his friends. Despite all the yelling for him to get out of the pig stood tall, embracing death so long as it meant protecting his friends. Hawk closed his eyes as the giant death bowl rapidly grows closer. Negate. Hawk opened his eyes to find a young blonde man. He wore high-collared black and tan robes with gold trim, along with a large flowing white toga draped around his torso with black armored boots on his feet. Picture Zareth the Black Mage from Fairy Tale, a golden shackage rested against his shoulder, while 2 simple longswords rested in the sheaths on his waist. "Big, you are the bravest one I've seen here. Sacrificing yourself to protect your friends even if it was for a short while. I declare you the strongest," he praised. Everyone, including Hendrickson, was astonished by the fact that the Dead End disappeared into thin air after clashing with a mysterious stranger's attack. Elizabeth was the first to break out of her stupor and ask who the man was. Excuse me, but who are you?" she asked. Before he could answer, Gowther made her appearance. "He's my husband." Everyone turned to Gowther. "Gowther, it's really good to see you again, but you look different. You did something different with your hair, didn't you?" Struggling to stand, Meliodas asked in oblivious curiosity as he ignored an injured and exasperated Ban, yelling about how Gowther was supposed to be a guy, you idiot. No, Ban's right. Gowther said as Meliodas remained oblivious to that answer. Wait, if that's Lady Gowther, then who's that? Elizabeth asked. The young man was interrupted by Hendrickson, who started striking at him. It doesn't matter who you are because this is your end. Hendrickson yelled, only to be sent flying back with a kick to the chest. Anyone else going to interrupt me? He asked, getting several head shakes before sticking his hand out and catching Hendrickson's fist, leading to the false demon being tossed out of the way. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and as Gowther said, I am indeed her husband. He said, catching their attention before blocking several more strikes from Hendrickson. Wow, and they said I'm annoying. Why don't you blow up someone else's kingdom? He asked. Hendrickson growled in annoyance, this is my kingdom. Now die. Don't feel like it. Naruto said, I merely came to visit my long-lost sibling, only to find such a pest destroying some poor human's kingdom. He said, feigning sadness as he smacked Hendrickson away with his shakujo. Anyways, you all better regroup, heal, sleep or whatever. I can handle this guy. Naruto said, jumping after Hendrickson, who was on the ground and didn't have enough time to recover before Naruto landed on his chest, knocking the air out of his lungs. Hendrickson was getting annoyed of this stranger or comes out of nowhere acting as if he was no threat. Hendrickson managed to kick Naruto away, giving him enough space to fire a black nebula at him. Naruto smirked as he used his negate attack to clash with the dark technique, causing the two to disappear into thin air as if nothing happened. At this rate, you won't even be able to match a red demon in terms of power. Naruto taunted, infuriating Hendrickson, who charged him. Hold still and perish. Hendrickson yelled, failing to land a single hit. Naruto yawned, feeling tired of the pointless fight. He landed a hard punch towards the false demon's chest, then grabbed his wrists, channeling his negate magic, followed by snapping them the wrong way. Hendrickson fell on his knees, crying out in pain for the first time since he transformed. He was infuriated, all this planning, this power, his victory, only for it to be ripped away by some stranger acting as if he was a lost tourist. Hendrickson managed to push Naruto away and get some distance before trying to prepare one more dark nebula. Naruto lazily stuck out his shakujo and quickly spun around before catching the large black ball of darkness and sending it back like a baseball, and it's out of here. He chuckled, hitting Hendrickson with his own dark nebula. Hendrickson cried out in more pain and managed to get up on one knee. That was full counter. He yelled out in shock. My father taught it to me before the old man taught my little brother. Unlike him, I don't yell out my attacks. Naruto answered before crushing Hendrickson ribs and stabbing him in the shoulder with one of his swords. Why do I feel pain? Hendrickson was interrupted. Because I stabbed you. When you get stabbed you feel pain. Naruto explained. I am a demon. He was interrupted again. No, you're not, you're just some poser who got high off of demon blood, and a grey one from the looks of it. Kids your age shouldn't be partying without adult supervision. Naruto mocked. Why cannot I not regenerate? I interrupted yet again. My negate ability stopped it. You remind me of this vague memory of this other silver-haired guy who was pretty arrogant. They say you shouldn't hit someone with glasses, but personally I'd hit him with something much harder. Naruto explained more, making Hendrickson feel annoyed at his constant interruption. Hendrickson growled as he tried to use his mangled arms to push Naruto away, only to feel a boot stomp on his face over and over again. Naruto continued to damage the Holy Knight Grandmaster, only to be distracted by a bright green light in the distance behind him. Naruto stepped off of Hendrickson and got a good view. So little sis awakened to her powers again. If what they told me was true, Mom's curse will be in effect soon. Naruto soon turned to Hendrickson, who also looked shocked by the sight of the green light. Would it make me a bad person to hate my mother if I did have justification? He asked Hendrickson, who growled as he tried to fly away. Naruto grabbed him by his wings and slammed him into the ground and picking him again just to send him flying into a nearby hill. Noticing Hendrickson's broken and battered body, he quickly stabbed both wings, making him cry out in more pain, before dragging him back towards the crater where the fight first took place. Come on, old man, I don't have any more time to play. Naruto said in a bored tone while dragging the crippled Grandmaster back to the battlefield. Meanwhile at the battlefield. At the sight of the dead and injured, Elizabeth awakened to a druid power, revealing her right eye, which had turned orange with a yellow triskel, while flaring some green dome over the entire kingdom, healing every inhabitant within the kingdom. Veronica Lyons can also be seen in the distance watching over the spectacle, remembering the time her younger sister healed her as well. Margaret Lyons went on to explain that Elizabeth has used this power before to heal both Veronica and King Bartra without realizing it. Meanwhile the Sins gathered around Gowther hoping to catch up with her. So Gowther, when did you change your hair? Meliodas asked, ignoring her statement about her gender. Gowther's supposed to be a guy, you idiot. Ban yelled, having to point out the apparently not so obvious. Oh, my hair, I had it short for a while until I realized I didn't like it and let it grow out. Gowther explained, ignoring Ban's outburst. Diane was excited, realizing the gender ratio was closer to being even, and what was more interesting, Gowther, when were you going to tell us you were married? Better yet, when were you married? Diane asked excitedly. Oh, that, I've been married many years before I met any of you. Gowther answered. So how did you two meet? Diane asked, demanding more details. Before she answered, everyone, including King Bartra and Merlin, who arrived earlier and pardoned the knights for their transgressions, saw Naruto arriving looking tired and without a scratch, dragging an unconscious Hendrickson who was still in his demon form. What did I miss? Naruto asked, dropping Hendrickson. Not much, Naruto. Gowther said. King Bartra was the first to approach Naruto, so you must be the young man who defeated Hendrickson. He said, sticking his hand out. As King of Lions, I thank you for your support. He said gratefully. Naruto shook the man's hand. It was nothing, I've had my fair share of demons and hybrids. He said, catching them off guard. Wait, did you say you had experience with hybrids? Merlin asked. Yeah, you think this piece of crap here is the first one? Naruto asked, pointing at Hendrickson's broken form. I think I'll continue this press conference after you all clean up. He said, reminding everyone of the giant crater that they're standing in. Husband Naruto, will you staying for a while or take off again? Gowther asked. Naruto looked around for a moment. I think I'll explore this place. You have fun catching up with your friends. He said, taking off in a lightning strike. That guy seemed nice. Meliodas said before being engulfed in a hug by Elizabeth, who worried about his physical condition. Oh, that reminds me, where are Eskener and King? You were all aiming to regroup, were you not? Gowther asked. Gowther, I'm right here. King whined. Gowther shook her head. No, you are a child, whereas King is an overweight man with a bad body odor. She explained. King sighed before transforming into his human form. I can shapeshift, okay? He said in his gruff voice. And your body odor has returned, forgive my poor perception, King. Gowther said, making King grow a tick mark about the bad smell joke. Why did you pretend to be a boy for all this time? Diane asked, seeing her second female teammate's build. I never said I was a boy, and as for my physique, I did it so I wouldn't be ignored by Merlin as she does to you. Gowther said, coming off cold to Diane. But that's not true, right, Merlin? Diane asked Merlin, who didn't even turn to face her. Merlin approached Gowther with a look of shock at Gowther's beauty, then physique. Life is so unfair. She thought. Gowther, how long has this been going on? She asked. Gowther put a finger to her chin. Many years before I met you, and then I noticed how you reacted to meeting Diane, so I taped my assets down. She said as everyone noticed Merlin's sudden change in emotions, which was out of character for her in a way. Anyways, where is Eskener? I thought you were all reuniting. She asked. Oh, we didn't have time to find him since we ran into everyone by accident, except for Diane and Ban. Meliodas said, we have no idea where he is. Oh well, seeing as Naruto will be off exploring the kingdom, I guess I'm here to stay. Gowther said, getting a rain of cheers. A couple of days later. The Kingdom of Lions was standing again, slowly repairing itself after the incident with the Holy Knight Grandmasters. Speak of, Hendrickson's body reverted back to normal shortly after being imprisoned, while Dreyfus was nowhere to be seen. The 7 deadly sins, sadly without Ban and King, who went on some journey or something, were commended for their acts of heroism and formally pardoned by King Bartra himself. The ceremony was interrupted by several men who worked for the Pleiades of the Azure Sky, who worked under King Bartra's brother Denzel, which almost ended in a scuffle until. Do as you wish. Said King Bartra, seeing as these men were willing to fight the group. But Father Elizabeth tried to interject. We are most grateful, my king. Said the man named Diamond Teeth Pierce. I'll go first. Said Platinum Dogito, cracking his knuckles. Hold on a second, you're a power level of 860. Hawk said. This pig, what is it? Dogito asked curiously. Sorry about his math. Meliodas said. Unfortunately, you're no match for me. I think Meliodas should fight in my place. Hawk said arrogantly. Merlin explained that she gave Hawk an earring explaining their power levels and overall strength. Sadly, she lied to him, saying he was 3000 when his real power level is actually 30. Okay, let's do this, Mr. Hero. Dogito said before sending his fists towards Meliodas only to take a kick to the face. Dogito refused to admit defeat, claiming the Grandmasters to be weak, seeing as he only took a kick to the face, with Meliodas explaining that Dogito was weak and failure for assuming an easy victory against a strong opponent. Dogito then attempted to punch Meliodas several times only for all of them to be blocked, causing Dogito's fingers to break. Looks like this is over. Gowther said from the looks of the fight. You know, I think you need to start all over as an apprentice Holy Knight. Meliodas said, making Dogito fume. Just as the man was about to strike again, he was sent back flying with a kick to the face. You should stop toying with your enemy, as he shouldn't be underestimating them. Looks like I was wrong about you, little brother," said Naruto, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Meliodas' eyes widened at the statement, from refusing to believe he had another brother other than Esterasa and Zeldris, AHH. Everyone turned to Hawk, noticing his high-pitched scream. "Hawk, what's wrong?" Meliodas asked. "His power level is insane. It's over 9,000. To be exact, it's 9,480. Hawk shouted, terrifying everyone but Gowther, who was aware of his power. "Oh, Gowther, were you aware of his immense power?" Merlin asked, stuttering. "Of course, I'm attracted to strong men," she answered, making Merlin sweat drop at the reasoning. Meliodas himself stiffened at the power, realizing this stranger was likely stronger than Zeldris. His thoughts, along with everyone else's conversations and whispers, were interrupted by the sound of a large explosion and small tremor. "What was that?" Bartra yelled. "Oh, that? I ran into a corpse of Great Demon, so I destroyed it. Don't worry, I made sure it wouldn't hurt anyone," Naruto reasoned, quelling everyone's fear. "You did what?" Merlin shouted in outrage. "Do you know how much knowledge we could have gained? Now all lost because of your need for senseless destruction?" she asked, feeling a great amount of hatred. "Tell me this, how many people died so that Hendrickson man could study that demon's body? Was it not the study of demons that caused many deaths around this kingdom of yours?" Naruto asked. Merlin opened her mouth but said nothing, realizing what he said was true. "Your silence answers everything, I have no reason to apologize," Naruto said coldly. "Anyways, I was just here to watch my little brother earn his medal for something I had to finish, but clearly the pages S of Axolotl or whatever decided to ruin it, so I'll be on my way," he said, disappearing in a gust of wind. "Wait!" Meliodas yelled out, trying to reach him only to grab air. "You aren't a good host to your brother, Captain," Gowther said. Pierce gave his apology, seeing that Dogito had no hope to defeat Meliodas, and took back his words before the ceremony continued uninterrupted. However, Meliodas was giving off those serious vibes that he rarely shows anyone. He would end up having a serious talk with Gowther about a relationship with his brother, knowing how powerful this stranger was. The boar had at night. "How long?" Meliodas yelled, slamming his hands on the table. Gowther looked unfazed but adjusted her glasses. "How long what? You asked me to come, then asked how long," she pointed out. "How long have you known him?" Meliodas asked, feeling impatient. "About a millennia or two after his birth," Gowther answered cryptically. "Then who is he really?" "My husband." "No, I meant where did he come from?" "You see, similar to humans, his father was a high-ranking demon and his mother was a high-ranking goddess, making him a hybrid in a way," Gowther explained honestly, making Meliodas have doubts. He started thinking for a moment of how to approach this. "Well then, why did he claim to be my brother?" he asked. "Because he is." "How?" "You two have the same father but not the same mother, making you half-brothers." "Then who's his mother?" Gowther leaned in close to his ear. "He's also Elizabeth's half-brother." Meliodas' heart stopped, feeling shocked that Gowther knew that much information. Then again, that doesn't mean she knows who Elizabeth's mother could really be. "Gowther, how do you know about Elizabeth's origins?" Meliodas asked as his eyes were covered by his bangs. "Which Elizabeth? There are now 107 and it would be rather tricky to know which one you speak of." Meliodas balled his hands into fists. "All of them?" he yelled, being glad he made sure that not even Hawk was in the tavern. "Well, I know they originated from the very first, the member of the goddess clan." Meliodas nodded, knowing that already, but he just had to confirm it, the daughter of the supreme deity. "It's adorable in a way, similar to that tragic love story about the two teenagers who came from noble households, except it was the households who cursed their children," Gowther said with a smile, creeping Meliodas out. "Well then, what does he know?" Meliodas asked. "He knows very well about his mother and father. According to him, it was Elizabeth who told him about the both of you and your ambitions. It's all a mystery to me at that point. Yet I was not aware of who you were until a few years ago," Gowther admitted. "You know, if you wanted to learn about your big brother you could have called." Meliodas quickly drew Liz's sword and pointed at Naruto, who appeared sitting at a table behind him. "Such poor service, I can't get a decent meal without someone pointing a sword at my face," he said sarcastically, making Gowther giggle. "Yes, quite terrible. I was given a reservation and suddenly this becomes an interrogation," Gowther responded, getting a laugh from her husband. Meliodas growled as he slammed his fists onto Naruto's table. "Shouldn't I be slamming the table? I am being given poor service after all," Naruto said with a chuckle, not taking this seriously. "Who are you?" Meliodas asked. "Naruto Uzumaki." "Where did you come from?" "Purgatory for the early stages of my life, then I recently moved to Forest of White Dreams. Well, my wife went by herself on some journey she refuses to tell me about." Naruto then put his fingers in the shape of a cross, creating a doppelganger. "Find something in that kitchen of his, I'm parched." The doppelganger nodded and entered the kitchen. "What was that?" Meliodas demanded, pointing towards the doppelganger. That little brother is a technique I remembered, it is called Art of the Shadow Doppelganger. I can do the same using wind and lightning, however neither retrieve memory as the shadow can. Naruto explained seeing the doppelganger make tea. What about your abilities? I can use the same abilities as you along with baby Esterasa and baby Zeldris. I can also negate the abilities of the 10 commandments due to who mother is. I can also control my transformation similar to your assault mode preventing me from losing my mind unlike you. Naruto explained finally receiving his tea. Who are your parents? Meliodas finally asked making Naruto sigh. At one point whenever I think about that I see a blonde-haired man with blue eyes and a beautiful redhead with violet eyes, only to be replaced by Beardo and Sunshine. They never really cared about me, they pretty much abandoned me once I learned how to throw a fist. Naruto said feigning sadness, then this beautiful silver-haired girl with one blue eye came to me and told me I had more siblings, sadly I learned about her death, then about her curse. It's good to meet you little brother, and maybe you can formally introduce me to my little sister. Naruto said taking a sip only for the cup to be smacked away. What are your plans? Meliodas said ignoring his last statement. To get another cup of tea unless you're going to smack it away again. Naruto mocked sending another doppelganger to make another cup. What are you planning? Meliodas yelled. No real plan, ambitions maybe, but even if I had a past life, I was likely a quitter or too hard-headed to think rationally. I had a good life, sure I got cursed by daddy dearest and mommy decided to be a pest rather than a caring parent. Although I did have some good moments, I met a beautiful woman and married her only for father to ruin it. Beside as Gowther walked up to sit next to him and lay her head on him. Naruto reached for her hand and started rubbing her palm, we're alike in a way Meliodas, we both have someone we care about and seek a way to free them. However we're just dreamers with no sense of direction. He said, I best be off, I'm kind of tired. It was good seeing you little brother, but seek me out when you are in a better mood. He said reaching for the door only to move to the side as a sword hit the door. Tomorrow morning, 8 AM sharp. Meliodas challenged. Naruto looked impassive, alright, not my fault if you fall on your butt and cry. He said selfishly walking outside pulling the sword away. He picked up Gowther in his arms bridal style before disappearing in a gust of wind. Meliodas sighed and rubbed his temples before heading off to bed. The next day. Elizabeth along with Diane and Merlin decided to start the day by visiting the boar hat. For Elizabeth and Diane, it was just another day of helping the dragon Sin with his business, while Merlin was hoping to confront Naruto again after their meeting from last time, now that the Grey Demon's corpse was destroyed. By the time the trio of women arrived, they were greeted by a sign on the door. Closed. Is the captain not motivated or something? Diane asked. Perhaps he slept in. Elizabeth said knocking on the door and waiting a couple of minutes before knocking again and receiving more silence. Is it open? Merlin asked as Elizabeth peeked inside finding the tavern empty. Maybe he left a note or some kind of notice. Elizabeth said letting the two in. The girls could see Hawk sleeping in a makeshift bed snoring about scraps, making the girls sweat drop. Sir Hawk. Sir Hawk. Sir Hawk. Please wake up. Elizabeth whispered making the pig get up and stretch. Oh morning Elizabeth, where's Meliodas he should have opened by now? Hawk asked. Wait so you don't know where he is? Diane asked seeing Hawk shake his head. Girls here's a note. Merlin said grabbing their attention. Dear Elizabeth or whomever finds this note. I had to close the boar hat for today due to a meeting with someone important. If you wish, you can open it and run things without me, but Hawk is in charge. No matter what, my meeting is to not be interrupted. No matter what you hear or see, don't interfere. I'll be back as soon as I can to reopen the bar if it hasn't been opened already. From Meliodas. We should go look for him. Diane said getting a nod from Diane while Merlin and Hawk sweat dropped. He just said not to. Merlin said. That's why we have go. Elizabeth said. The two ran of prompting Merlin to follow them just to make sure no one does anything stupid and get hurt. With Meliodas. Out in the outskirts of the kingdom, Meliodas found his alleged brother sitting down on a blanket with his legs crossed, enjoying tea with Gowther. Ah little brother, how are you? Come we were just having tea. Naruto said in a friendly manner convincing Meliodas to sit on the grass still feeling wary of the man, I see you feel tense, here have a cup. Naruto said handing him a cup. Meliodas looked at the cup, I'm not here for a social gathering. You know why I am here. He said. Is it not to have tea and enjoy the beautiful scenery? Naruto asked sounding like an idiot. No, I want you to fight me. Meliodas demanded. Naruto leaned his face close to his brother's, for some reason you remind me of someone with dark hair in the shape of ducks behind. Gowther smiled at the description hiding her giggle. Fight me? Meliodas ordered. If you want your big brother to kick your butt, then so be it. Naruto said with a shrug, Gowther sweetheart, please clear up the blanket. I don't want to see you get hurt, even if you were enjoying yourself. Gowther nodded and began to clean everything up. The two took their stances in the middle of clearing, where there was no sign of humans or any animals that could get hurt in their fight. You make the first move, little brother. Naruto said a second before he kicked the air behind him, only to reveal Meliodas, who managed to get the drop on him. Recovering quickly, he drew Liz's sword and started striking at Naruto, who pulled out one of his own swords. The two scuffled for dominance until Naruto smirked and created a doppelganger to hit his younger brother from behind, making Meliodas lose control and fall down. That was unfair. Meliodas yelled as Naruto pointed his own sword at his brother. Brother, in the most serious fights you live or you die. However, I'm not a monster like our father or Zeldris. Naruto responded, giving Meliodas some space to recover. Meliodas soon dashed at Naruto, trying to land dozens of kicks and punches, only for them all to be blocked by his wrist until he was punched in the gut, sending him skidding down the ground. Meliodas quickly recovered and started slashing at Naruto, only for the latter to keep dodging, as if he were more of a nuisance than a threat. It was rare for someone like Meliodas to lose his cool, considering the last time nearly destroyed all of Lions, and before then, Danifer became a giant sinkhole. Right now was one of those moments, as Meliodas lost his temper, his curse mark revealed itself as he continues his assault. Hellblaze! He yelled, unleashing black flames towards Naruto, who jumped back, tossing his hand back as if he threw something, revealing that the flames did connect with something, but he wasn't sure what. Jumping out of the way in time, he saw Meliodas appear behind him, kicking him from behind and landing a kick on the back of his head, finally getting serious, little brother. I suppose it would not take this much had you been fully restored. How much did that mage take? A quarter. Third. Half. There is no way you can be this weak. Naruto said with a chuckle, infuriating Meliodas more, to where he was picked up to the neck and punched repeatedly until he was sent flying back. Naruto skidded to a halt and looked up to see another Hellblaze heading towards him, his instincts kicked in, and he smacked it away with his Shikujo. Feeling glad that full counter was broken in terms of strength, Naruto quickly charged his feet with electric energy and met up with Meliodas, with the two connecting punches with each other's punches, leading to another stalemate. Keep it up and I might get to show you the first stage of purgatory mode. Naruto said with a toothy grin before taking a punch to the face. Were you an angry drunk woman with oversized breasts in the past life? This feels oddly familiar. He added, getting a growl. Catching both fists, Naruto got a good grip and sprouted his wings, lifting both blondes into the air before rapidly landing upside down, slamming Meliodas down on his head. Jumping up from the ground, Meliodas was about to attack again until Naruto pointed something out. Hold on, time out, what is that white stuff on your head? Meliodas stopped and felt what should have been blood, but was replaced by a white substance. Do you not bleed like the rest of us? Naruto asked, cutting his thumb, revealing his red blood. Then suddenly a note card appeared falling from the sky that said, all white blood is property of Studio Dean, making the two scowl, but for some reason Meliodas' eyes got bigger and appeared too close together for a moment. Little brother, are you okay? Naruto panicked. Meliodas shook it off, revealing his face to be back to normal. No, I'm fine. Now where were we? He asked before continuing the fight. A few minutes later, Elizabeth and company arrived to see Meliodas getting thrashed around in his curse-marked form against a stranger from earlier. Elizabeth gasped, as she always felt rather unnerved whenever she saw Meliodas in his state of hate. She ran down despite Diane and Merlin calling for her to stay back. Naruto was covered in dirt and had a couple of scratches on his cheek, but looked fine, while Meliodas was covered in bruises and white blood for some odd reason, while his shirt and vest were in tatters. Liz's sword was also pretty banged up and ready to give out at any moment. Sorry little brother, but I'm pretty bored and I feeling like exploring. So Naruto raised his hand in the air, creating a sphere before filling it up with some magic, revealing streaks of unstable lightning coming out of it. It was nice seeing you. He said in a somewhat sincere voice, dashing towards Meliodas. Meliodas attempted to run before falling and taking a knee, not looking away from the big ball of lightning heading towards him. Elizabeth saw this and ran to his side, using herself as a shield. No, please stop. Stop fighting. She yelled at Naruto. Out of the way, Lizzie. Naruto yelled, ignoring her pleads. Can't you see Sir Meliodas is too hurt to continue? You said you were his brother. Why would you hurt family? She asked. That idea never crossed our father's idea, just look at what happened to the both of you. Naruto countered, making Meliodas' eyes widen. Elizabeth ignored the weird statement. Please stop fighting. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. You can sing it, but I won't stop. Little brothers have to know their place, Lizzie. Naruto said in a mocking tone. I won't let you hurt Sir Meliodas. She yelled, closing her eyes and extending her arms out, accidentally firing a beam out of her hands. But the HHH. Naruto yelled as the beam hit his power, making it explode, sending him fly back and hit the ground a few times before stopping. Mean little sisters. Why did she have to hit me with an arc of all things? He asked himself as he skidded back. Meliodas for his part regained his senses as he saw Elizabeth crying and started hugging him. Elizabeth, it's okay now, we're not fighting anymore. Meliodas said, reassuring her. Elizabeth looked back to see Naruto covered in smoke in a self-made crater, while Gowther was putting on some kind of nurse costume and some wooden sticks approaching them. Gowther, shouldn't you be helping Naruto? He is your husband after all. Merlin said. Yes, but he's been through worse, and he's only acting like an infant, should he complain about it? Gowther said in a neutral tone, making Diane and Elizabeth flinch, while Merlin chuckled. That will teach him to destroy my research. Merlin said to herself. As Elizabeth went back to holding Meliodas close to her breasts for reason that it triggered her healing ability. Perhaps Elizabeth should be the one wearing the nurse's outfit, Gowther said. Meliodas spoke up before Elizabeth could object. Do you have one in extra large, around the chest area? Preferably not covering too much? He asked. Gowther pulled out a bag, digging through her supplies, while Hawk bit the top of his head. Meanwhile, Naruto laughed at the sight in front of him and started limping towards the group. I'm sorry, Captain, but I do not have a nurse's outfit with that description. However, I do have one wizard costume that is similar, or if you'd like, I have this Roman-style dress, but it covers even less of her body. Gowther explained, making Elizabeth turn red. Gowther, don't encourage him. Diane yelled. Oh, I am so sorry, Diane. Did you want a costume as well? She asked, making the giant turn red as well. Elizabeth, what was that beam you fired at Naruto? Merlin asked. What beam? Elizabeth asked, unaware of her new ability. That streak of light you shot out of your hands. It stopped that lightning ball and sent Naruto flying back. Merlin explained. I don't know, I don't even remember it. I saw Sir Meliodas in pain and screamed for Mr. Naruto to stop and he wouldn't listen. Elizabeth answered. So is it like a new power you awakened to, like the one back at the fight? Diane asked. More than likely. Merlin stated, seeing the ability before, but not completely sure if it was the same one she saw in the past. So, what's all the commotion about? Everyone turned to see a muscular man in with a large sword and metal mask standing on top of a rock. Slater of the Roars of Dawn. Perfect timing, I have a rather urgent favor to ask of you. Merlin said. The only orders that guy takes are the ones from the king himself. Meliodas stated as Slater jumped down from his rock. Your every wish is my command. Slater said, taking a bow. Hey Slater, what is this? Does Merlin have some kind of dirt on you? Meliodas whispered into Slater's ear. Slater scoffed at his words and explained how Merlin's ability to rescue the king was enough to impress him when no one else was able to reach him. Please, allow me to call you my big sister. Slater requested. Call me what you will. Then what is it you like me to do, big sister? Slater asked. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Gowther, come here for a second. Merlin requested. She walked up to Merlin, who raised her hand above her head. Absolute can. Merlin soon found herself facing the ground as one arm was put behind her back while the other was left stretching out. Merlin, I know you worry about my mental health, but I can tell you that I will behave myself. Gowther said. Let my big sister go. Slater yelled, swinging his sword over Gowther only for it to be blocked. I prefer you don't swing a sword down my wife. Gowther let the nice mage down, she was only worried about her friend. Naruto said from under the sword. Naruto looked up at Slater, squinting his eyes. You wouldn't happen to have water-related magic abilities, now would you? Naruto asked, confusing Slater. No, I cannot manipulate water. Slater answered, refusing to remove his sword. Slater, don't pick a fight you can't win. Meliodas said. He may seem dangerous and reckless, but he's family. He added, getting a gasp. I'd listen to my little brother if I were you. Naruto said. Merlin managed to get up from the ground, dusting herself off, while Slater removed his sword from Naruto's hand. The boar hat. Elizabeth took Meliodas upstairs to patch up his wounds and clean up, leaving everyone else downstairs waiting. Where are Ban and King? I haven't noticed them during the awarding ceremony. Gowther said. Ban left to who knows where, while King decided to follow him to make sure he wasn't really abandoning the 7 deadly sins. Merlin explained. Gowther nodded, feeling satisfied with the answer, while Naruto remained quiet, thinking about the little group Meliodas put together himself. Ignoring the chatter behind him, Naruto wondered what Meliodas was planning ever since the 10 commandments were sealed away. From what his father, the Demon King, told him, Meliodas was the leader, but backstabbed the clan and caused the Holy War 3 millennia back. Whatever happened afterwards, Meliodas decided to make some ragtag band serving humans. At least he has one less reason to kill his own brother, but he can't say the same about Estarossa and Zeldris if they ever get unsealed. Meliodas returned back later wearing a new outfit and offered that Slater guy a chance to follow him when Elizabeth interjected. Sir Meliodas. Would it be okay if I come along too? She asked with a look of desperation. I told you before, the battle for lions is finally over. So there's no reason for you to be put in danger. Meliodas answered without looking at her. But I thought we were in this together. Am I the only one who felt that way? Elizabeth asked. She received silence. Really? Am I nothing more than baggage, is it? She asked. Meliodas turned back with a look of immaturity. Exactly. Diane punched him in the side of the head. Captain, you jerk. She yelled while followed by Hawk kicking him into the air. You stinking pig. Hawk yelled with disgust. Elizabeth ran outside ignoring Diane. Okay, that hurt. Meliodas grunted. Slater started getting up from his seat until he felt a hand on his shoulder. I'll talk to her, you make sure my dumbest brother doesn't do anything stupid. Naruto said, leaving the boar hat, while Hawk continued to berate Meliodas. Naruto went outside to find Elizabeth standing against the wall. You're stronger than you look, little sister. Wait, if you're my sister and Meliodas is my brother, wait, am I witness to insist? He thought in panic. Oh, never mind, her mother and his father are my parents, but they split up after that. That doesn't make it any better, does it? He continued thinking before approaching her. Honestly, that idiot has no tact at all, does he? Elizabeth turned to see Naruto. The only reason he talks to me like that is because he's concerned. Truth is, that's exactly why I want to help him. He's always saving me, but I want him to know that I can be useful too. Elizabeth explained. In that case, you should express those feelings with actions, not words. Naruto said. Actions? Elizabeth asked as Naruto nodded. That's my theory anyways. Naruto stated. Both turned to the door as they heard a weird sound. Inside they turned to Merlin holding her sacred treasure. What's with the noise? Naruto asked. Our original plans have changed. We have to go to Camelot immediately. I sense an abnormal sense of power. Merlin answered. The mage soon surrounded the tavern with a pink energy, and as they looked outside, the group found themselves flying over another kingdom. Guys, what's that huge mountain-looking thing? Hawk asked. Naruto spoke up before anyone else tried to answer. That big bastard is Albion. They were locked up after the Holy War ended. Who knows what else got unlocked? He said. The 10 Commandments were unlocked. Meliodas added. Oh, good to know. And what the hell do you mean the 10 Commandments are free? Naruto yelled. I'll have to tell you about that later. Meliodas said. Albion looked up at the flying pig and started growling, followed by trying to hit Camelot, only for it to be blocked by a barrier Merlin set up until Albion hit a couple more times. Arthur's forces began to open fire only for not effect to take place. Meliodas jumped down and used his full counter to block Albion's attacks. The creature looked annoyed and continued his barrage of attacks. Seeing everyone striking at it, Naruto decided to jump down, saving Arthur from being crushed in Albion's hand. Your weapon is broken, little brother. Naruto pointed out as Meliodas saw his sword shatter. It took a lot from the fight with Hendrickson. I'm surprised it lasted this long. Meliodas stated. How about you fall back with these guys until you find yourself a new weapon and let your big brother deal with this? Naruto suggested. You know his weakness? Meliodas asked. I'm the firstborn, I know these freaks of nature like the back of my hand. You might want to step back. Meliodas nodded and grabbed Arthur along with the Holy Knights, taking them to a safe distance as Naruto sat down. Okay, it's been a while, but let's see if I can remember what the old man taught me. Naruto thought as Albion prepared to attack again. It's time to look inward and start asking the big question. Who are you and what do you want? What do I want, eh? Well, I know who I am and what I want is to help these people and destroy this thing. Naruto thought as he continued to go through his meditative trance. What are you doing, Naruto? Meliodas whispered, seeing Albion getting ready to slam his hand over his elder brother. Everyone gasped as the hand landed near him and created a loud explosion. Everyone, including Meliodas, assumed Naruto was crushed and likely killed, only for the dust to settle down, revealing Albion missing an entire arm and Naruto on top of his shoulder. For those with amazing vision, they could see purple and black tribal-like markings around his body. He destroyed its arm and made it up to its face in the blink of an eye. How powerful is he? Arthur asked in shock. Meliodas smirked. I still don't quite believe it, but according to him, he's my big brother. Meliodas answered, wondering how strong Naruto really was. Many years ago. That feeling, that painful feeling, the sense of defeat, loneliness, hatred, everything that is negative. Everything that makes you weak, everything that blinds you, everything that makes you rash, everything that makes you inadvertently cause destruction. The path in which no one should take, but can be stopped. This is a path of pure pain and sorrow. However, this is not to say there is no hope for individuals who take this path. For a young individual to be broken to such a state was no easy task, especially a certain elder who had seen a lot in his seemingly long period of life. This was the point in life when young Naruto was filled with sorrow and hate and vowed to take a directionless path to vengeance. For all of this to go away, it starts with a hermit passing by. Young Naruto could only stare at the sky as the ice-cold water landed on his face. His eyes emotionless, his body broken, his mind however, filled with hate. Despite his seemingly hopeless state, it did not go unnoticed, and it did not fool the traveler who noticed him. Young man, it is cold, do you not feel the drops falling on your skin? You may be young, but once you are as old as I am, they will feel like shards of glass against your skin. The only difference is they will not cut. The old man said. Naruto moved his eyes to look at the old man. He was shorter than he was, had gray hair covered by a triangular hat made of bamboo or straw, his clothes worn out from travel and in need of sewing and cleaning, his beard gray with white streaks, and his face showing wrinkles and bags. Naruto didn't care for this hermit and looked back to the sky as the drops of water hit his skin, for his clothes were burned and severed around his chest area, along with some freshly made scars. "Oh, I see, you are not human like I am, are you?" The old man asked, followed by a chuckle. "So tell me, what race or clan do you hail from, young one?" He asked only to receive a stare filled with silence. Naruto refused to speak with the man and wished he would leave him alone and never bother him again. "Young man, do not pretend that you are deaf or that your mind does not function. I can see a healthy man wallowing in the filth, one that has suffered and through that suffering, believes it will quell by vengeance or any equal form of destruction. You look at me as if you do not care for what this elder human has to say, but you know that I am correct?" He asked, receiving silence again. What does it matter if this hermit was correct? Why would he care? He is just another human, his lifespan will end in a matter of minutes compared to him. There is no use in responding to this waste of space. "Oh, so you think you are too cool to talk with an old man like me, eh?" The man asked with a chuckle. "Well then, if you will not get up, let alone respond, then perhaps I can motivate you by giving you shelter," he said, putting his umbrella down and started hunching over. What was this man doing? Does he not understand that in his state, his life could end if he gets wet? He could develop a disease inside him that could kill him. Naruto was not in the mood to take the blame for being found next to an elderly man's corpse. "You're a heavy one, aren't you?" asked the old man as he began to lift Naruto onto his shoulders. "I won't get my umbrella this way, perhaps I could use the help of a friend. Earth companion," the old man commanded as he stomped on the ground, making a large stone appear before breaking apart and becoming a golem. The golem picked up the umbrella and covered the old man who had Naruto over his shoulders. "If you do not have any objections, I will take you to my family's settlement. I hope my daughter does not mind setting the table for one more," he said as he began his travel once again. Naruto was confused, he was not sure how to respond, but he was in too much mental and physical pain to object. So instead, he opted with staring at wherever the man would lead him and listened to whatever conversation he was trying to have with him. So for the next couple of hours, he listened to the old man speak and remained silent during the entire trip and during all of his questions. "You know, evil and good are not born. They are two paths to choose from, anyone is capable of good and evil. However, it's the path of destiny you choose that will matter. For as long as you remain confident in yourself, it should not matter what others think of you," the old man said in a sage-like tone. Sighing for the 100th time during this trip, the old man briefly looked at Naruto's emotionless expression. "You know, they say everything will be forgotten once your time on the earth is over. That is why you must make every moment, every step, every breath you take matter as if it were your last. Many people fear death, not for what they are unsure of what comes next or of how much pain they will be in, but because they still have regrets in their life. One must not live a life of regret," he said with a happy tone. "What if I become what you regret?" Did you say something?" the old man asked, looking at Naruto again, wondering if he was hearing things. "What if I become your regret?" "Why would you become my regret, young man? What if I am the reason you catch a disease and die before you reach your family?" Naruto asked in a cold voice. "That would be unfortunate, and sure my family would be sad, but they know it would be painful for me in the afterlife, as I would not rest knowing they are filled with sorrow," the old man said, looking curious and unfazed. "What if this is a ploy to follow you back to your settlement and rob you or worse massacre your family?" Naruto asked, trying to find fear in this man. "Then it would be shame, but in the end, we would all be together and would have nothing else to fear, as no one could ever harm us in the afterlife," he said, making Naruto's eyes go wide. "Or maybe, you are trying to scare me so you could get extra tea or food for yourself because you cannot share," he laughed. Naruto went back into his silent form and watched as they continued to travel. It would be a journey of a lifetime. Modern day, Camelot. 7 deadly sins ost perfect time. On Albion's shoulder, Naruto could see the giant was very unhappy losing its arm. Aiming to crush him, Albion sent a fist to knock him off. However, it wasn't aware of his speed. Naruto disappeared and reappeared, kicking the creature in the face, sending it skidding back a few feet. "Let's see, how do I kill it again?" Naruto asked out loud without realizing it. "Wait, did you seriously forget?" Meliodas asked calmly. Aren't you going to help him? Arthur asked. Nope, he said I need to listen to my big brother and trust him. Arthur and everyone raised a brow. That and he kicked my butt a little while ago. Several holy knights' face faulted. Naruto however kept dodging sweeps as Albion began to charge up his fingers. Now what was it? Is there a button? Do I take out all its limbs? I know I can't smash it to bits. The beams charged up and fired on him. Noticing this, Naruto formed multiple doppelgangers with all of them pulling out his Shakujo. The beams were about to hit their target when, full counter. The beams hit back. Once the dust cleared up, Albion appeared missing most of its upper body. Oh yeah, there was a core. How do I forget that? Naruto asked jumping back. The Holy Knights and Arthur congratulated him. You know big bro, I could have done that too. Now that Merlin gave me back Lost Vein. Meliodas said revealing a short sword with a green blade with jagged edges. Its special ability is called Physical Clone. He added revealing a total of 6 Meliodas. End of song. Naruto for some reason felt a twitch in his eye. Clone Jutsu. Naruto you fail. Shaking his head, he found himself staring all 6 of his brothers groping Elizabeth while Merlin covered Arthur's eyes as if he were an innocent child. Effing pervert. Naruto yelled stomping on the real one's head and rubbing his foot on his head. Who the hell told you that was appropriate? Naruto yelled. Diane and everyone else jumped back at his new attitude. Everyone snapped out of it when Hawk screamed. What the heck? His power jumped to 25,000. Hawk yelled. He then turned to Meliodas. Hold on, besides the real Meliodas. The rest only have 420. He added. Merlin went off to explain Meliodas' weird clone ability where each clone had half of their original's power. Wow, what about my doppelganger technique? Naruto asked summoning a few. They're all dropping slowly, but they were all at 12,500 when they started. Hawk stated. Hey Merlin, do you know anything about his clone ability? Meliodas asked. I can't say that I have. This technique seems complex, although I find it more resourceful than the captain's clones. Merlin said poking one in the chest. Merlin, I would appreciate if you stop touching my husband and find your own. Gowther said. Merlin's eyebrow twitched at the statement. Meanwhile in the 7 sins of the Namikaze. Merlin felt her eyebrow twitch. Putting her book down she walked out of her lab towards the common room. There she saw Naruto, Gowther and King, all playing some weird board game involving play money and strange character pieces. For some reason she glared at Gowther who wasn't even looking at her. Picking up a chair she slowly approached the boys. Hi Gowther, may I speak with you? She asked. Hello Merlin, how may I? Gowther took a chair to face breaking it. Me Merlin, what the heck, what did Gowther ever do to you? King asked crawling backwards. Merlin made her signature smile to look innocent. You see Gowther made me mad in another lifetime. Now I'm taking Naruto with me because he's mine and mine alone. She said grabbing Naruto by the back of his shirt. I'm whatever Gowther and I did, I'm sorry. Naruto said. Naruto, I told you I would be high maintenance when you decided to pursue a relationship with me. Merlin responded as she continued to drag him. Back in this story. Oh sweet goodness. Did anyone else see that? Naruto asked. See what? Diane asked. Naruto was about to explain until suddenly a large object landed in the middle of the kingdom. Captain, is that? Diane asked. 72 steps. Said the shadowy figure from the dust. Doesn't he mean jumps? Naruto asked. I thought I would be here in 70 steps, I guess after 3,000 years. You weren't walking or running. Naruto interrupted. Can you let me finish? I'm monologuing. Now where was I? Oh 70 steps. No. Naruto said interrupting him yet again. The figure grew angry as the dust settled revealing a red armored figure with grey horns and a beard-like accessory under his chin, also holding a double-edged scythe. You're gallant of the 10 commandments. Naruto interrupted like a jerk. Okay, that stopped being funny. Meliodas said. It's been a while Meliodas. Just as I suspected, it is you isn't it? Haha, to think after. Little brother, I would like to apologize for my rudeness earlier. I just feel like I need to be included after recently entering your life and never being there for you or Zeldris during your childhood, which led to. Can you knock it off? Galen yelled out of character, breathing heavily, making Naruto remain silent. Thank you. To think after all this time has passed, you'd still be in that form. He continued uninterrupted. But how? How can an evil monster like this exist in this world? Diane asked, shaking. This can't be right, a power level of 26,000. Hawk asked as Galen's eye grew green. You do remember my power level, right? Naruto asked, still in his transformation. Everyone ignored that as all the holy knights gathered in preparation of Galen's assault. Hey Naruto, can we rely on you to help us? Merlin asked. Sure, his magic power level should be null, considering how much effort it takes to break through Mom's seal. Naruto answered, cracking his knuckles. Alan stroked his makeshift beard looking at Naruto. There was something off about him, besides the fact he was covered in strange marks made of darkness. There was a chance this stranger could be a demon as well. It wasn't common for some demons to look human. Take Durieri, Monspeed, even Zeldris for example, those who didn't know what the commandments looked like often mistook them for humans. One more thing to add, Galen heard him call Meliodas his brother. That made no sense, Zeldris and Esterasa were Meliodas' brothers. Then again, he is blonde and kind of looks similar. You there? The annoying one who interrupted me. You called Meliodas your brother. Why is that? Galen asked. Because we came from the same father. Naruto answered. Interesting, most interesting. Galen said stroking his beard, nevertheless, I will destroy you. He added. That's when he looked around for a moment and noticed the kingdom of Camelot around him. It seems that humanity hasn't changed much. They're always clustered together. He said. That's when he started waving around his double-edged scythe and destroyed a giant chunk of the town everyone stood on. Everyone minus Naruto and Meliodas were shocked at the devastation. Merlin prepared herself as she watched Arthur stare in shock at how many lives were lost to the point there was nothing but the dirt the buildings and roads were built on. Alan laughed at his destruction as he found it amusing to end the lives of human, of which were very insignificant to him. Naruto however felt a twitch followed by a phantom pain seeing the destruction done in mere seconds. Shinra Tensei. Naruto suddenly felt his rage building up, prompting more of his darkness to build up making his power level increase slowly. Much better. Now I can breathe with all this much space. Galen said as if he was relieved prompting Meliodas to strike first. Alan saw that and stabbed him with his scythe feeling proud of himself seeing Meliodas cough up his own blood, leaving a few members of the group such as Elizabeth feeling shocked. However the commandment of truce parade was cut short when two more Meliodas appeared and attempted to strike him. With his agile reflex, Galen decapitated them. Feeling confused for a moment, he looked back at the original body and saw it disappear shortly before the other two did. What's this, an afterimage? No, it can't be. Galen wondered only to ignore it as Meliodas' surprise attacked him and started cutting him with lost vein, only for the sword to leave no scratches or sign of damage on the armored adversary. Alan continued to strike at Meliodas, only to miss as the Sin of Wrath continued to attack him with more after images failing to leave any sign of damage. Having had enough, Galen killed more of the clones that grabbed Meliodas by the throat, giving it a good squeeze. Amusing spell, however I am not fond of cheap tricks. Galen said as he stabbed another clone of Meliodas in the chest, making it cough up blood before disappearing. This monster is unbelievable. Said one of the knights. King Arthur, are you alright? Asked another knight. I'm fine, don't worry about me. Answered Arthur as he and Elizabeth were trapped by perfect cubes made by Merlin to ensure their safety. Are you actually the same Meliodas from all those years ago? Asked Galen in a mocking tone. Get your hands off him right now. Diane demanded as she ran up. Magic cancel. Merlin said as her sacred treasure glowed. Wow, absolute cancel and magic cancel. I can see the originality when you named your abilities. Naruto said making a tick mark grow on the mage's head. I hate this man. She thought. Back with Diane, she slowly grew revealing her back into her original attire. Feeling fury in her blood, Diane jumped in the air with Gideon on hand aiming to crush Galen. The commandment of truth however didn't even bother to let go of Meliodas' neck and kicked the hammer before it could land a hit, sending it flying back into Diane's forehead making her collapse. Let's take a moment to strategize. Merlin said snapping her fingers seemingly make Galen let go of Meliodas and disappear. Meliodas quickly stood up and went to Diane to check on her wound. Although Arthur was amazed at his teacher's power with support from Slater. Merlin denied having any influence in the commandment's disappearance. I didn't have anything to do with it. Merlin said feeling concerned. In a matter of seconds, he left range of my power. I can only assume he retreated. She claimed. However Galen suddenly appeared behind the sin of gluttony, shocking her at his impressive speed. You know it's deceitful underhanded mages like you that I despise more than any other. Galen said feeling annoyed as he went to land a hit on the mage only for Slater to jump in the way. Overpower. He yelled only to fear for his life as he could swear he saw a demonic face growling at him from behind Galen. The intimidating presence was too much for Slater giving Galen the chance to smack him away, causing his arm to be severed. Naruto growled as he started having flashbacks to a strange vision of an orange-haired man with purple eyes, destroying a kingdom full of innocents. Feeling his power running its course he slowly stomped his way to the commandment having a whole new level of hate. Alan of the 10 commandments serving under the demon race. Your power and fighting abilities have far exceeded my expectations, and it's clear Merlin continued speaking while somehow thinking at the same time. Wondering how to defeat this powerful adversary while saving everyone else's lives. In return, we will give you anything you and your people desire, regardless of what you may need to achieve your goal. I may be more than Merlin was interrupted as a gigantic terrifying aura appeared behind Galland. She was so scared and started to step back and started muttering some nonsense Galland couldn't understand. Stroking his metal beard, he wondered what this woman was saying, as he was sure she was lying about whatever she was trying to bargain with. However, he couldn't do anything as she didn't finish and acted like a lobotomized patient trying to force themselves to speak. Scary, terrifying, powerful presence behind you, Merlin stuttered. Oh, I won't fall for weight, were you telling? The Galland soon felt a powerful kick to the head, sending him smashing into the ground. Looking up, Galland found a two-sword stabbed into his shoulders, making him scream in pain before having his head repeatedly headbutted. The assault didn't stop there as he was lifted and tossed into the air, only to be tossed and kicked on the head, sending him crashing back down headfirst. Galland quickly recovered at the speed of sound and attacked his target with his double-sided scythe. 7 Deadly Sins Ost Assault Mode Theme. As he landed his hit, he saw his scythe break in half and saw Naruto looking at him with hate in his eyes. Galland didn't care and attempted to punch him, only for the fist to be caught and crushed before being slammed into the ground and having his face stomped. Galland was getting annoyed and grabbed his leg and tossed him aside, only for Naruto to recover and dash back at Galland with a barrage of punches, leaving giant fist-shaped dents in his chest armor. Meliodas and Diane, who were still in pain, watched as Naruto unleashed his true power. Remembering back to both of Hawk's observations, Meliodas remembered his brother's increase of power, each time confirming his suspicions about his brother's strength. Then there was the fact Naruto was also able to notice how much power Meliodas lost just by fighting for a brief while. Hey Hawk. Meliodas yelled over to the pig trapped with Elizabeth. What? Hawk yelled back. What's my brother's power level? Meliodas asked. Hawk turned his head and tried to catch a good glimpse of the other blonde, only to have issues with him not holding still. So the best he could do was estimate it by the thousands he saw. Hawk looked a bit concerned as to what he saw, but decided to tell Meliodas anyways. I think it was 35 or 36,000. Hawk yelled. Meliodas went wide-eyed. That was over 4 times his base power level, Hawk pointed out the first time. If he was right, Naruto must be holding back or wearing some kind of restraint of his own. After all, that was slightly higher than his own base level with his wrath intact. For now, Meliodas knew he was too weak to face the commandment, and it would be best to avoid being in his brother's range of attack. The Holy Knights of the Camelot had a different idea, as Meliodas can see many of them grouping together to support the attack. Only for Gowther to get in the way and stop them. Lady Gowther, please move out of the way, said one of the knights. Yes, we must help defeat the demon, said another. Gowther shook her head. I cannot allow that. For my husband is too destructive in his current state and won't differentiate ally from enemy, she said. That's when she saw Galland land a punch on Naruto, only for him to counter by flipping him on his back. Galland attempted to recover, only feel his arm bend the wrong way in a sickening crunch. Then what do you suppose we do? Asked one of the knights. Back to the fight. Galland grabbed what was left of his weapon and stood up, critical over. He yelled out as for a brief few seconds he grew bigger and his armor looked like it became muscular, only to shrink down quickly, leaving him confused. Your magical power still hasn't returned, you fool. You can thank my mother for that after she sealed you away, Naruto said in a cold tone as his marks began to grow. Your mother? It was the goddess race that sealed the 10 commandments and myself away, Galland replied. You're right, but it was under her order. I'm not entirely demon, you know, Naruto said, disappearing and reappearing Galland, who blocked a kick with his good arm. Why should I care who your mother is? Galland asked. My mother is the founder of one clan and my father is the founder of the other. Both of them cursed my siblings and myself. All while taking away someone precious to me and using her like a puppet. Naruto yelled the last part, using his other leg to smack Galland across the other face. Founder of 2 clans, I can tell he wasn't lying, so if he's a demon. Galland jumped away and ran a far distance to think for a moment. Okay, so he's a demon and the supposed brother of Esterasa, Meliodas and Zeldris, then that means he's also the son of the Demon King. Now what is the other clan? He wondered before Naruto reappeared and attempted to hit him a few times, only to take a spear to the shoulder. Yes, I only now realized it's a 2-sided spear and not a scythe. Naruto pulled it out and attempted to continue his assault, only to see that Galland has run away. Galland, however, was putting 2 and 2 together, realizing that Naruto must be related to a goddess if he says his mother was responsible for sealing him away. However, the unbelievable part is who he claims his mother is. That was always the strange part about being the commandment of truth. Although he could see who was telling the truth versus who was lying, it does not mean he can believe everyone he comes across that tells the truth. It may seem like a contradiction, but he was in no way bound to think a certain way. But that said, he reappeared back onto the battlefield inside of Camelot only to take skull-crushing helmet. His anatomy is weird, fist to the head. Looking up, Naruto was clearly charging up for one more attack only for Gowther to appear in the middle of the two and work her mind powers. End of song. A few minutes later, Galen adjusted himself and took off far from the kingdom as if he was just a delivery boy while Naruto just stood there. Breaking free of his mental link, he grabbed Gowther's arm and looked her with a serious face. "Gowther, why the hell did you do that? I could have finished him off." Naruto yelled only to watch her take her glasses off. Naruto was confused until she caressed his face and saw tears in her eyes. At that moment, the spectators saw Naruto calm down as his marks and power level lowered drastically. For something Naruto saw in Gowther's eyes told him to calm down. For those wondering what it is that calmed him down was a memory. A memory where he saw Gowther smiling in her wedding dress when she wrapped her arms around his neck. "What's Gowther doing?" Diane asked, trying to stand up. "Reminiscing, I think." Meliodas answered, knowing that look he saw in his brother's eyes. Naruto let go of his wife's hand and held her close as tears fell down his eyes. Gowther hugged back, leaving a lot of confused people wondering what the hell just happened. It was a good thing Ban wasn't here. Otherwise he would have just ruined a beautiful and sweet moment for them. "I'm not losing you again, Gowther. I can't let my blind rage put your happiness second," Naruto thought as he looked to where Galen once stood. "I'll finish him off next time with a cool head." He then turned to see Elizabeth wrapping Meliodas in a hug as she checked his wounds. Naruto smiled at the sight. "While I'm at it, I'm going to save them too. Everyone deserves to be happy," he thought as he moved the hair on Gowther's forehead and kissed it. Gowther for her part kept her head against his chest. "I understand your hatred, Naruto. I may not be sentient and emotion may seem like an impossibility," but she trailed off in thought and looked at the wedding ring on her finger. "Your love for me is what keeps me alive and what grants me free will," she thought as she closed her eyes. For a moment she remembered a painful memory. One where she stood over laughing at his broken form as the Demon King ordered for Naruto to be disposed of. She ensued her husband's lust for vengeance. Gowther's sin wasn't that misunderstanding when she attempted to revive her best friend, Naja Lions. It was not the strange act they assumed she attempted on the current princess of lions that day. It was the years before when her one true love wanted nothing but to hunt down members of his clan in order to get to her. But in it all, he never felt any hate towards her. So for that one long moment, as Camelot would struggle to recover from a giant portion of their land being destroyed, the inhabitants were generous enough to allow the married couple enjoy the brief moment of peace. Something only Meliodas could understand. Many years ago, the old man finished his journey and arrived home with Naruto. The latter, however, decided to stand on his own, continue following the man on his journey. Naruto watched over the large village that was filled with life. The old man was happy to be home after a long journey and risked a bad back filled with aching pain just for the trip. Sure, it could have been prevented had he ignored the stranger he took with him, but he was too much of a good person. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" the old man asked with a bright smile. "It's pretty, second most prettiest thing I've seen," Naruto answered in a monotone voice. "Second pretty?" the old man asked, trying to sound shocked. "Do you travel as well, my friend? Maybe seen some nice villages? Some works of nature?" He was met with silence. "Oh, maybe you enjoy the art we humans make? Or have you seen a beautiful woman you can never erase from your mind?" the man asked, winking and gently pushing him with his elbow. "My wife, the most important person in my life. My sole purpose," Naruto said. "FFXVII Austera theme." The old man smiled. "I see you two were separated, weren't you?" His answer confirmed by silence. "Let me tell you this, I've been married for over 50 years. It may seem short for you. Whatever species you may be, it's still a long time for me. Whether I leave this world today, tomorrow, next week or in another 50 years, I have to cherish every moment," he explained as he began to walk down the hill towards his village. Naruto stood there letting the wind touch his face along with the rest of his body. He may be weak and incapable of doing anything for now, but now is not the time to lay down and die. The old man is correct to some extent, he will reunite with the love of his life. You can bet on that. "Hey, what are you waiting for?" Naruto turned to see the old man waiting for him at the bottom. "Come down, I need to let my daughter know to have a seat open for one more," he said with a chuckle. Naruto beat his head and nodded. Naruto took a deep breath and spread his arms out like he was waiting for a big hug or something. The old man raised a brow, thinking it was some kind of ritual his race must do before entering a foreign territory. However, his wild theories were instantly thrown out the window when Naruto tilted himself over and swan-dived. "Are you crazy, boy? I did not take you with me to end your own life," the old man yelled. Naruto ignored his yelling and opened his eyes, revealing one consumed by darkness, leaving a black lightning-shaped mark and the other orange with a yellow triskel as the cornea. That's when suddenly a large black wing with a purple outline and a bird-like wing both sprouted on his back and he floated over the air a few times before slowly landing on his feet. He turned to the old man who was clutching his chest and breathing heavily. "Oh, I see, you come from the race of giving old codgers like me a heart attack," he accused, pointing at the man. "There is no such race. Would you like me to confirm this?" Naruto asked as he reverted to his human-like form. "I prefer you don't, I'd hate to see the results," the old man said as he waved for him to follow him. As they entered the village, Naruto saw the smile and waves towards the old man. This was a peaceful village and he senses not even an ounce of malicious intent. Not even a sign of negative thoughts, and what's strange is there is no sign of anything enforcing this attitude. As if the people have come to terms with the world and only seek peace before their hour of death arrives. "Would it be rude to ask for your name? We've traveled for nearly 2 days and we are still strangers to each other," Naruto asked. "It is much more respectful to introduce yourself first before asking another for their name," the old man answered. Naruto nodded, understanding the formality. "Very well, I am Naruto. Spawn of a king and deity," he said. The old man stopped and turned around. "Is that a middle and last name, or do you only have a very long last name?" he asked with a chuckle. "No, it is my own title. For I do not like to associate with the ones who gave birth to me," Naruto answered impassively. The old man stroked his beard and nodded. "An exotic title indeed, especially claiming to be born from a god and royalty. You must be very popular with the ladies," he said, the last part looking serious only for Naruto to sense the joke. "I can sense negative and positive emotions, old man. Do not play mind games with," Naruto said. The old man laughed again. "Oh, if only you were there for my first love interest. That girl had the biggest attitude, but mistakes like that pushed me into the arms of my wife. A real saint if you haven't seen one," he said. "Anyways, that means it's my turn, but listen carefully for I do not like to repeat myself," he said. Naruto nodded and listened closely, all the while not noticing someone staring at him from the distance. If he paid attention, he would see a toddler with silver hair wearing a white dress hiding her short little wings watching from behind a building. A rather distinguishing figure about this girl was the one blue eye, while her other eye was covered by her hair. "So that must be my big brother," she whispered to herself. "I hope he is. He seems nice. I bet he's going to be super happy to meet me since mama wouldn't tell me about him," she continued as she watched the older boy listen to the old man. The old man moved closer to whisper into Naruto's ear, "Let me tell you this first. Names are precious, for they say they let you define who you are and can often be considered as a gift from God. The gift I was given is." The end. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Bye bye.